A very good evening, this is Prime TV News and I'm Vibhuda Vijay Bandaran. First, let's look at today's headlines. Singaporean President appreciates the President's anti-narcotics program. Finance Ministry invites proposals for the budget. COPE Committee report is presented to Parliament. Estimation of damage caused by Sena caterpillar begins from Anuradhapura. And from Prime World, Maduro has announced a breakdown in relations with the US. And now for the news in detail. President Maithripala Sirisena, on a tour of Singapore, held a meeting with President of Singapore, Halimah Yacob, today. They drew their attention to maintaining strong relations. The President, who arrived at Istana Palace of Singapore this morning, was warmly welcomed by the President of Singapore. Both leaders engaged in a friendly conversation. The President's media division said the two leaders discussed on how to carry on the bilateral relations forward with strength, and the President of Singapore expressed appreciation over the steps taken by Sri Lanka in terms of political, societal and economic development. The Singaporean President also appreciated the strong leadership of President Sirisena to overcome the drug trafficking in Sri Lanka. The Singaporean President hosted a luncheon in honour of the Sri Lankan President Sirisena at the Istana Palace. Singaporean authorities have expressed their consent to President Maithripala Sirisena to introduce the technical knowledge used by the Singaporean government on behalf of the prevention of drugs for Sri Lanka's drug prevention program. This consent was given to the President during talks he had with a group including a minister in Singapore this morning. President Maithripala Sirisena, who is on a two-day official visit to Singapore, held a discussion with officials of sections concerning the drugs prevention program, including the Singaporean government's Social and Family Development Minister and National Development Deputy Minister Desmond Lee at the Mandarin Hotel in Singapore. During these talks, the President made a request to help the program mooted in Sri Lanka to crack down on the narcotics menace. In response, the Singaporean government had expressed willingness to provide Sri Lanka the technical knowledge used in Singapore to Sri Lanka on behalf of prevention of drugs. Accordingly, a special delegation of representatives from the government of Singapore is due to arrive in the island in the near future to explore the possibilities of supporting Sri Lanka's program to crack down on narcotics and drugs prevention. Officials from Singapore took the initiative in apprising the President of the methods adhered by the government of Singapore with respect to raids carried on illegal drugs and for the crackdown on illegal drugs and the national programs mooted by the government in this respect. President Maithripala Sirisena was also apprised of the present progress achieved in programs mooted at the national level by several ministries in the country on behalf of prevention of drugs. The President announced that measures will be taken by him next week to present presidential awards on behalf of police officers who are dedicated on behalf of cracking down on narcotics. The estimation of damage caused to harvests in cultivated lands following the Sena caterpillar disaster has commenced from the Anuradhapura district. The government has already completed the allocation of financial granted necessary to the provision of compensation. It was about 3 months ago that the Sena caterpillar was reported from Sri Lanka for the first time. It has been identified that this caterpillar mainly harms several crops, including maize and paddy. Action is being taken to pay 40,000 rupees per acre to the farmers for damaged cultivations. Deputy Agricultural Director of the Sena Caterpillar Control Unit of the Department of Agriculture has reported that the caterpillar had caused most of the damages from districts such as Monragala, Badulla, Ampara, Kurunegala and Anuradhapura. Meanwhile, the Southern Province Agricultural Department and Deputy Agricultural Director's Office collaborated in implementing many programs to control the Sena caterpillar that has spread in the Mathura district. Measures were taken to apprise the people using public address systems by visiting the villages where the harm had been caused by the Sena caterpillar. Actions were taken to destroy cultivations harmed by the caterpillar after examining cultivated lands in the Kirinda and Tihagura areas. Measures were adopted to gather information on the harm done to the maize harvest devastated in the Palolpitiya area in Mathura and destroy them. The Mapalan Agricultural Faculty had told the farmers to take initiatives to cultivate peanuts instead of maize in the next cultivation season. Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam has said that he lauds the attempts made by the President to eliminate the drug menace. The Minister made this observation joining in the National Drug Prevention School Week. The National Drugs Prevention School Week program is successfully in progress. It is being implemented in schools throughout the country. The Drugs Prevention Schools Weeks program was launched at the President's College in Kotte under the patronage of Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam. A group including several ministers and parliamentarians was present. Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam said that as the Minister of Education, he wished to thank the President, the Prime Minister for their efforts to build a country free from drugs. He said that the country would be more beautiful if the children were made aware of getting rid of the drugs menace and becoming useful citizens. Everyone should be aware of this initiative to take suitable actions. Expressing his views on the occasion, Non-Cabinet Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva pointed out that drug racketeers were receiving political refuge. Dr. Harsha De Silva said that the regional politicians were directly involved in this menace. If this cannot be discussed, he said the problem cannot be solved. Drug peddlers were receiving political refuge. Politicians at all levels should keep aside drug peddlers. He called on all politicians to stop granting refuge to drug racketeers. Under the Drugs Prevention School Week, today was set aside for the implementation of programs to apprise the political authority with respect to narcotics. Accordingly, the programs held under this theme at the Vidyaloka Vidyalaya in Galle was held under the auspices of Minister Wajira Abewardena. A group including several regional politicians joined in this event. Another program was held at the Vihar Mahadevi Balika Vidyalaya in Kandy. In view of the Drugs Prevention Week, a large crowd joined in this event. There is a rapid decrease in water level in reservoirs affiliated to the hydropower plants due to the dry climatic conditions. As a result, it is witnessed the manner in which the old Muskelia town has surfaced. Dry climatic conditions were experienced in the last few months within the Central Hills. As a result, irrigation engineers in charge of the reservoirs said that the water level of the Maosa Calais and Castlereagh reservoirs has dropped rapidly. It is in this manner that the old Muskelia town has surfaced with the rapid drop of the water level of the Maosa Calais reservoir. It can also be witnessed as to how the Sri Shanmugam Kovil and several buildings of the old Muskelia town have resurfaced. Chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprise Parliamentarian Sunil Handunetti presented the COPE report to Parliament today. It was the first COPE committee report of the third session of the 8th Parliament that was presented in this matter. Parliamentarian Sunil Handunetti said that the working committees expect to work with responsibility to the entire country. He made a request to the Speaker to submit the reports of the Public and Accounts Committees to the media. State enterprises and establishments in the country were incurring losses to the value of millions of rupees. He called on Parliament to draw its special attention to this matter. Parliamentarian Anurakumar Dissanayake said that public funds to a large extent had been misused. As such, he called for an immediate debate on this COPE report. Minister Lakshman Kiriyala said that they are ready for a debate at any moment. He said that if they wanted to conceal matters, the chairmanship of the committee would not have been given to them. Every government had granted the chairmanship to a government member, but he mentioned that he could remember that Ranil Wickremesinghe appointed Jayaraj Fernandopulle. They are not against searching for fraud and was willing to grant a debate. The police have arrested 30 individuals following a clash that erupted at a musical show. A clash occurred between spectators and a musical group during a show that organized in the Bandarwala town. The musical show has drawn to a close at around 10 p.m. and it is reported that the clash had occurred as tickets were being sold by that time too. Thereafter, the police took action to disperse the group. Several police officers and another group sustained injuries following this clash. The Bandarwala police have taken into custody about 30 persons for behaving in an unruly manner and inflicting damages to property. 8 of them were released after interrogation. The other 22 were due to be produced in the Bandarwala Magistrates Court today. Minister Daya Gamage has given instructions to immediately recover defaulted loans of Samruddhi banks totaling 1,119 million rupees. The sum of around 13 million rupees had been issued under the Ranaviru Housing Loan Scheme, the Divinagma Sahana Aruna and the Dirya Savya Loan Scheme implemented by the Samruddhi banks. During a discussion held at the ministry, it was revealed that a sum exceeding 388 million rupees was due to be recovered from this program. Loans had been issued to 9 million recipients through the Samruddhi Bank network. Its value is 261 billion rupees. The public are being afforded an opportunity of submitting proposals for the 2019 budget. The Ministry of Finance and Mass Media is calling on the public to submit their proposals before the 11th of this month. Minister Mangal Samarveera is scheduled to present the budget to Parliament on the 5th of March. Its theme is a prosperous nation with a strong economy. The public and all factions have been called upon to present the proposals concerned with the aim of making it a people's budget. It is the intention of formulating government policies with the aim of achieving the aims of the people under the themes democracy, reconciliation and development. In this respect, the special contribution of professionals and scholars as well as professionals in agriculture, industrial and service sectors is expected. It is with respect to the action plan presented by the sectors concerned that grants for government projects will be allocated under this budget based on the performance. Proposals for the 2019 budget can be directed to Director General, Department of Trade and Investment Policy, Ministry of Finance and Mass Media, the Secretariat, Colombo 1, or email it to bdgtpro@mo.treasury.gov.lk. Chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprise Parliamentarian, Commander of the Wani Security Forces, Major General Kumudu Pereira, has said that more than 3,000 acres of land occupied by the army in the north has been released. He made this reference at a function held in Vaunia. Major General Kumudu Pereira pointed out that it is in Vaunia that the army is occupying the least number of lands. More than 1,000 acres in the district has been released. In the future, they plan to release lands from the Mana and Omantai areas. About 60 acres had been released. He said that they had no intention of occupying private lands. He added that only state lands were occupied considering security measures. The Sri Lankan Navy have made arrangements to hold a new program titled Colombo Naval Training with effect from this year. It is planned to hold this naval exercise in affiliation to the Colombo Sea from the day after tomorrow until the 29th. Trawlers of the Sri Lankan Navy and other trawlers are due to be used in this exercise. The Navy is also getting ready to hold the naval salute slated for the National Day celebrations on the 4th of February. The Navy said that the Colombo Naval Exercise can be identified as its inaugural program. These exercises are scheduled to hold under 2 stages. It will comprise many naval exercises including in water deposited with sea bombs, compiled supply requirements in the sea and towing vessels. The Navy pointed out that its desire was to increase the professional capability needed for handling each ships and vessels and conducting the naval salute beautifully on National Day, handling and the vessels and trawlers in a proper manner. An appeals petition was filed today in Supreme Court challenging the ruling given by the Colombo Commercial High Court with respect to the book Natta Venuwata Atta, authored by Jatika Nidas Peramuna leader Wimal Weerawansa. Filing the appeals petition, Wimal Weerawansa said that the verdict given by the Colombo Commercial High Court was blatant. As such, he is calling on the Apex Court through his petition to suspend this ruling. The Colombo Commercial High Court recently ruled that the book Natta Venuwata Atta, authored by Wimal Weerawansa since leaving the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, had been written violating rights in the Intellectual Property Act. As such, the Colombo Commercial High Court ordered Wimal Weerawansa to pay 1 million rupees to General Secretary of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Tilwin Silva. Also, an order was issued banning the printing and sale of this book. And now we'll have a look at the exchange rates. Cabinet this week approved an amendment to the Value Added Tax Act to enable the Minister to determine and prescribe by regulation the basis for the imposition of VAT on certain goods. The proposal presented by Finance Minister Mangala Samaravira amends the Value Added Tax Act, enabling to reintroduce the tax exemptions imposed on importation of aircrafts and accessories, sawn timber and fabrics, and locally manufactured rice bran oil. Further, the amendment enables the Minister of Finance to determine and prescribe by regulation the basis for the imposition of VAT on certain goods. With that, we end today's telecast of Prime TV News. Prime News will return tomorrow. And in the meantime, make www.itnnews.lk your go-to source for the very latest in news from home and overseas. Have a pleasant day. Good night.